Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm movie critic Ken, and this is WAND Presents The Real Ken. Today we're going to be taking a trip down nostalgia lane as Hollywood takes us to the world of pink as I take a look at Barbie. So, let's do this.
What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world. You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours.
The first one, the high heel.
You have to want to know, okay? Do it again.
Barbie is perfect, living her perfect life in a perfect world, until things start to happen that aren't so perfect. This leads to Barbie, along with Stowaway Ken, to head to the real world to figure out what is happening to their perfect world. Okay, so I have to admit something. I didn't grow up a Barbie girl. I know, it's a shock to the system. Here's the thing though, while I've never had a real problem with the toy line as a whole, here and there I would have some questions about the choices that they were making with it. How could anybody live up to the standards of a perfect doll with a perfect, well, everything? Life, looks, property, etc. Barbie had it all. Why could a doll that could do or be anything not be a pregnant figure? Was she so perfect that being a mom was beneath her and Midge was created? What exactly does Ken do? In fact, does Barbie even need Ken? Should she come with G.I. Joe instead because obviously she's faking it with Ken? I'm joking about the last one, of course, but there are a ton of questions that I'm sure a lot of people had about the toy line. I guess the big question is, did this movie answer those questions? For the most part, I would have to say that it did. You see, this movie isn't just about Barbie being a Barbie girl, living in a Barbie world, a life in plastic being fantastic. It's also about what effects that the toy line of Barbie really had on the youth that grew up with them. It addresses how many girls didn't feel they could live up to what the doll was supposed to represent. It even talks about pregnant Midge for a bit. It explores how Ken feels in a world that is all about his plus one and not so much about him. It also talks about something that is ticking the manly men off right now, which is toxic masculinity. The great thing about it is this movie does it and does it with a lot of humor and a lot of heart. You've seen it in the trailers, but this movie is silly, and I mean super silly, but in the really entertaining way and not the this is obnoxious one. What the toys are doing in the world are representing what the person playing with them are feeling. When things are happy, smiley, peaches and rainbows, that's how their world is. If the person playing with them isn't so good, things start to change. This is why Margot Robbie's stereotypical Barbie is acting so strange. While this could have been done in a weird, more serious tone, it isn't. While yes, the movie gets serious here and there, most of the time it handles everything with a certain comedic flair that works really well in this world. The part that this movie didn't handle so well would be the consumerism behind the franchise. Don't get me wrong, you can kind of let this part go because deep down we all know that this is a 2-hour-long commercial to sell more toys. Thankfully, the movie knows this and makes fun of that too. It talks about why the corporates behind the toy line do things the way they do when it comes to the marketing of the toy, and it's about as male-driven and ridiculous as you can imagine. The thing is, though, they aren't the real villain of the movie. While I don't want to spoil who is the villain, let's just say that they're a real son of a beach. While I know some will have a grumble, wham, crybaby stance on this movie, all in all, I really liked it. Guess that means I have to give up my man card, huh? This movie has a lot going for it when it comes to hitting the right beats. It makes fun of its source material, but not in a way that destroys its reputation. It talks about the good and bad that the brand has represented for kids. It talks about how a creation can mean even more than the creator could even imagine. It does all of this and more, all with the right tones at the right times. A note to parents, while I think this movie is okay for kids, get ready to answer some questions about some things after this movie is over. One of the funniest things in this movie is the very last scene. After it happened, I heard so many kids asking their parent, what is a fill in the blank? And it made me laugh pretty hard. All in all, this movie is a lot of fun and enjoyable. If you want to see the Barbie movie, you can check it out in theaters right now. Make sure to follow me at WANDTV.com as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Real Ken. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, also at The Real Ken. That's going to be it for this edition of WAND Presents The Real Ken. As always, I'm your host, The Real Ken, movie critic Ken. Until next time. And hey, floor director Ken, camera guy Ken, thanks.
Thanks, Ken.
No, thank you, Ken.
And thank you, reporter Ken.
Back at you, Ken.
And to all you Barbies and Kens out there in the real world, a big thanks to you. Remember, no matter what, you'll always be good enough.